Turn up the dial, it's 10:30. We back, spin that back show, all the classics on track. From 79 to 99, we're crossing the gap. Album reviews, little known facts, hip hop intact. Saturday mornings, dive into the history, samples and stories, old school mysteries. Spin that back show, we keeping it real. Every Saturday, 10:30, you know the deal. With album reviews and stories untold. Hip hop legends, the greats and the bold. Catch us reminiscing, breaking it down. East to West Coast, the underground sound. From Grandmaster Flash to Nas' Big Rise. Unveiling truth, no disguise.
Yes, sir. It must be 10:30 on the Saturday morning, and it must be that Spin That Back show. Check it out. It's your host, El Pooh. We got Mr. Nice Guy, and today we got Mr. Walk, and we got a special guest here again. Once again, it's Born Allah.
Peace. What's really my good? All right.
Yes, sir.
In here having my breakfast.
I'm having my breakfast too, bro.
I love it.
Mr. Walk, what's going on with you?
Oh man, I'm just chilling, man. I'm here. I'm ready to go. It was a surprise to see my brother, Mr. Born Allah. You know what I'm saying? And you two guys, even you, nice guy.
Nice guy as
What's
always
up?
is in the house. I don't even have to introduce him because he's my Robin to
That's
the
right.
sky.
I'm Robin without
Check
the
it out.
tights.
Today we're gonna be talking about the infamous Mobb Deep. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir, yes, sir. So let me tell you like this. I got hip to Mobb Deep back in what year was that when Shook Ones came out? Was that like 92, 93, somewhere around up in there?
Probably, I think, was it after the riots? I mark everything in my head before and after the riots.
Right. I ain't even mad because that's kind of like I kind of figured too in the sense.
That's the measuring stick in my head. I was like, wow, did I loot that? Because I started thinking about what furniture I had, with appliances I had. I was like, okay, I had this during after the riots and stuff. So
Hey,
yes,
you know
I
what?
think it was after the riots.
And I always remember that date because of Ice Cube, April 29th, more power to the people, and we might just get a sequel. So yeah, so it is easy. That's one of the dates, the few things that I could tie down to before and after. So that's hilarious.
Absolutely, but I think you are right. I think that was close to like 93 or something like that, if I recall. That I had in the house.
Here it says 95, and I'm not sure about that.
No. Their first album was 93, Juvenile Hell.
But he's
Okay,
talking
but
about
It was
everybody-
trash.
They got on everybody's radar though with the infamous ones, with Shook Ones and all that
Right.
came out. That's when everybody hit up and
Right.
shit. But I don't want to separate the stories and shit because to me that's like a before and after. Like a lot of people don't know what they really were in the beginning. So I'm gonna let the show go on and I'll insert myself accordingly. Pause.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Shook Ones came out in 94. That's what it says here. That's what I'm saying.
Wait, we ain't
Now,
talking
when
about
did
Shook Ones.
Juvenile Hell come out?
No.
Yeah,
This
he
is
was
when
talking
I
about-
was introduced to Mobb Deep. This is when
Okay.
I got hip to him. I heard.
So how
Shook
many
Ones.
years is between Juvenile Hell and Infamous? 2 years?
I'm not even sure because I didn't even hear Juvenile
95.
Hell until later.
Okay, so 2 years. So okay, bet.
Okay. Yes, sir. But I heard when I first heard them, it was from Shook Ones. I don't know how y'all got introduced to Mobb Deep. Did y'all hear about him before Shook Ones Part? In fact, Shook Ones Part 2 is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
My
I got hit
first-
to him as the youngsters and shit, man. Like I told you guys when I first got hit to them, they were real more like hardcore. That's when hardcore came out, grave diggers and people doing the
Horrorcore.
So that's when they came out. And to me, initially, their vein was that shit. You know what I'm saying? I think they had the pitchforks or hatchets or something on the cover and shit.
It's a
So
sickle.
like,
It's a
yeah,
sickle.
sickle, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a nice guy would know.
And here's the album cover right there. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Yeah,
when
they
I
did
got
that.
hip to them, but they didn't really, did no waves. I was just hip to them because I was heavily into hip hop and heard a lot of, obscure stuff. So that first album, I can't even remember. What was the singles off of that? Who's fact checking?
No, they had a video for Hit It From the Back. That was the first time I was exposed to them, but I didn't know who they were. I just remember there was a song called Hit It From the Back. I know there was some dudes rapping, and in the video, they kept like pointing to some people getting down in a room that were blurred out. So I remember seeing that on the video, but I never connected that with Mobb Deep. So technically, that was my first exposure to them, but I didn't really understand until like Shook Ones and stuff like that. So,
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that Juvenile Hell. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember the word, the songs, but I remember when you can listen to the album. You go in there and you listen to it. I remember I was in the Navy at the time. This was like '93. I was in San Diego, and I listened to it. I seen Juvenile Hell. There was some young kids, and it was called horrorcore. Like horrorcore rap, like not hardcore, but horrorcore. And they didn't say that though. I'm just saying that was the, you know what I'm saying? But the album was, to me, it was trash as hell, especially in '93. You remember '93, they had some real heavy hitters that was coming up with some stuff, like, you know what I'm saying?
Hold on. This man said it was trash as hell. Let me spin that back one time, because that was
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it was.
It was Oscar the Grouch. It was Oscar.
That was that first album. That was but come on now. Like even some boxers, they first match, they probably lost, but became great champions later. So
I think production wise for that time, it was okay. It was actually not so bad. I was listening to it last night. It was all right, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't really into it at that time, so I didn't even hear it.
All old rap is good rap.
Right. Now let me ask y'all this. I wonder how old they was on that first album, man, because if I had to take a lucky guess, man, them dudes were still teenagers, man, probably closer to like 16.
Yeah,
you know
16.
What I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
I think he even said that in one of the lyrics or something like that. So yeah, that's the age that they were. Because even with Shook Ones, they referred to a 19 or something. I mean, he's got that in the line or something like that. So it was something like that.
Exactly. So I think a lot of the what you hear they think, is the immaturity, because they probably didn't know how to do music and stuff like that. So that was probably, and you got to think they probably at that age and they was able to come out on whatever label it was. Somebody overseen that album and was like, no, do this kind of song, do this kind of song. So I think you see the transition of being directed into going into, okay, now we're doing it on our own. Because I'm sure by the time they had got on Loud and everything else, they probably had a lot more control and artistic freedom. So that's probably when we end up getting those classes that we got. That first album was probably somebody directing them. And I know what that's like, because I remember I was signed at a young age to a major, and it wasn't until I went to go do the second album that I got the control that I wanted. That first album was really, that first album I did had an environmental song. I would have never did no bullshit.
Okay. What I'm seeing here online, it says Havoc said Prodigy had a record deal at 14. He had left that deal and formed Mobb Deep with him. And at 18 is when Juvenile Hell came out, when they were 18.
Okay.
That was 18.
So that all sounds to me makes sense. You know what I'm saying? All that sounds like contrived. People like, hey, we see some talent in them, and they went in there and tried to do an album that they thought that she could do. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of what we listening to on Juvenile Hell is just immaturity and shit. And I would let me insert this though, man, that I think, and I'll give a perspective just because I frequent New York. Mobb Deep's, when they in their height and their legend is that they spoke for coming of age youth in New York that just start doing dirt. You know what I'm saying? So like for LA dudes, this is like the little homies. You know how you got, like, I grew up in the Playboys, then you had the little boy gangsters and shit. They represented the little boy gangsters, the little homies. They just started to do dirt. They got their first little gun. They did their first little stick ups in the neighborhood and shit like that. That's who Mobb Deep spoke for and shit, man. Young juvenile people who were coming of age in gangster shit. And that was the beauty of what they were and shit, like, so when you listen to it, like, that's why when I listen to Mobb Deep, I immediately think about the tunnel, because that was the vibe in the tunnel. Dudes that just got in, everybody's in there with their glamour or got the razor blade in their mouth. You got to think that this was a prominent time in New York during the time, especially with the razor blade in the mouth shit, you know what I'm saying? Having guns that frequently jam like Tech 9s and 45s, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, if you bold enough to put a razor blade in your mouth, you gotta be a tough dude. I remember hearing about that crap, and Tribe was like, wait a minute, this is too fucking dangerous.
Yeah, no, that was some movie shit, yo. I knew New York dudes that was talented. My cousin Ant, blessed the dead, man. He was good at that shit, man, keeping a razor blade in the mouth. And I've seen motherfuckers that like would do some kung fu movie shit with you with a razor blade in their mouth. That was a real time.
Hey, that's where that term buck 50 came from, where he slice you in the face with a razor blade.
And then they always do it with and the key is and shit, if you're a real grimy nigga, you always want to do it with a rusty, dirty razor and shit. So when it heals, it keloids up on them and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's when you really trying to mark a motherfucker. They call
Make a dude look like Frankenstein, huh?
Yeah, man.
Hey, let me say it. I remember my cousin from Flatbush. He said he used to have a razor blade in his mouth so long he would forget it's in his fucking mouth. That's freaking nuts, dude. That's freaking nuts. Real talk. But let's get into this Mobb Deep.
Yeah,
the first album. Forget that first album. Let's go to the.
No. We gotta let it be known. The first album, it is a part of their legacy, man. It is what it is. But for the West Coast, we wasn't tripping off their first album at all. You know what I'm saying? Kids out here couldn't even relate to that because I remember I bought Redman to some of my people. They was like, "What's the shit you listening to?" I'm like, "Man, this is hot." You know what I'm saying? So, it was the East Coast West Coast rivalry was going on a long time. So don't get that messed up.
It wasn't a rivalry. It was more hating. It wasn't a rivalry. It was more hating. It was more like, what the hell is West Coast cats doing? Like, come on, son, that shit is back, yo. What all they talking about is guns.
Well, we said the same thing about the East Coast too. We said the same.
It's different. It's different tastes, different flavors, different whatever. I mean, a lot of times you just got to think about something. When you create something and it's this way, and then these outsiders come up with something that's different, you may not resonate with. That may not resonate with you. That's not necessarily hate. I mean, they embraced NWA right away, but there's a lot of stuff they didn't embrace. Stuff that I didn't embrace, and I was out here. Right. So I mean, it really depends on where your taste, where you were grounded. You know what I'm saying? Well, I was particularly grounded in East Coast underground hip hop. That's basically been where I've been the majority of my hip hop experience.
Okay, let me say one thing. Let me spin that back one time, because MC Light made a good point. She said, when NWA was out there disrespecting women and everything, the East Coast wasn't saying. How many times have you heard "bitch" on the East Coast record back in the early '90s and '80s?
That's who you listen to, Akinelli. Come on, y'all know. Put it in the mouth. Come on now.
I had to put the big bitch in check.
Come on now.
So, but I mean,
But it wasn't like "A Bitch Is a Bitch." Even though "A Bitch Is a Bitch" is a good song. I love "A Bitch Is a Bitch." I think that's a hell of a song. I think it's an excellent song, and I think it makes a good point. And I think I wouldn't even put that in the category of even disrespecting a woman. It's a bitch that you disrespected. Anyway, the whole point I'm trying to say is the East Coast wasn't really disrespecting women and calling them out their names like bitches and stuff like that as often as when NWA came out and the influence that they had on the West Coast. And then Big came right around the time that Big had started doing it. That's when it started exploding. Everybody started doing it after that. This is what MC Light had that was her perspective of it. And I kind of agree. Anyway, spin that back to Mobb Deep.
A little bit more, but in my head, you write the frequency and the usage of it probably was a little more fluid with West Coast stuff. I'd have to fact check, but you much sounds like something I could bite into and shit.
Yeah, well, that was just her perspective.
Oh
that first album. So last night was the first time I really listened to that first album. And they sounded like kind of babies to me. They sounded young. They didn't sound like they had. You talk about not as mature. I'm just saying, even sophistication of rhyme. I just was like, wow, this is like really behind the curtains. This is the beginnings of those cats. But that having been said, I didn't think it was garbage. I didn't think it was trash. It wasn't nowhere near where they got to the second album. But I mean, some of those beats were solid. You know what I'm saying? Particularly for the time. So I'm not gonna say that was a trash album, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, it was nowhere near. It kind of reminded me of a Public Enemy's first album and their second album. The first album was solid, it was good, but that second album is arguably the greatest album of whatever. So I mean,
you hit a vein with that because the political element wasn't even prominent as it was in the second album. So to me, it's like, I think it's maturity and shit for the most part. It's kind of like you do it and then your sound begins to develop like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? So I think, and then especially with Mobb Deep, like I said, they were a coming of age group. So I think it actually coincided with, their ages at the time. I think Juvenile Hell was a very young, silent album that was very directed probably by some adults. And I think the other one was them, are we in the room by ourselves smoking dust blunts and 40 ounces and shit and, doing our thing. That's what it's like. We're coming of age. I'm smoking my first weed now. I'm going to the store getting 40s. I'm doing this type of shit. You think you're grown And I think that's what that next album and shit really captured the shit. Because I think that second album, I don't even think they were 21 yet. But yet and still they was doing all the things that they were doing. And like I said, coming of age as young adults in hood shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. Even the relationship, because in all actuality, they are branded as a Queens group. But Prodigy is really a Long Island dude.
Right. Spin that back.
We're gonna talk about that.
I don't know if
I didn't know that.
No.
We're
gonna talk about it.
He wasn't from the projects or nothing. He was middle class. If anything,
he was the guest. Havoc was the person. Havoc was the resident, and he was the guest.
Indeed.
And ultimately, that was the whole situation with the mural, keep being the face and stuff like that. We're gonna come back to that. That's gonna be on the tail end. But
let me insert this though. Now that we know that element, and we will get to it, I think in that second album was probably him kicking it with them dudes. Now, like all of that is the excitement and the lure of, oh shit, look what I'm doing now. A middle-aged kid over here hanging out with these cats in the projects, experiencing these things, carrying blammers, smoking, drinking. I think what you heard in Prodigy's rhymes was his fascination and his like coming incorporated with all this. And I think it sounds so beautifully written and said, and resonates with people so much because you can hear the excitement and the awe in his voice of what he's saying and what he's doing, if I'm making any sense. So I think that's the beauty of it. Like, it's a coming of age thing, like, oh, fool, and we in the tunnel sticking people up with razor blades and shit, you know what I'm saying? We got on Timberlands and shit. So what is summertime and shit? And we should fucking we got on Timberlands and shorts and wife beaters, buddy.
Well, let's get into it, because we're talking about the second album. This is the second album right here.
Right.
This is the infamous, right?
Yep.
Man, and that was great out. Even 21 yet. It had to be 18, 19 at the most, probably, and shit.
I'm only 19, but my mind is old.
See, so definitely. That just should let you know what it was. And like I said, when we talk about the coming of age thing, like, because you got to think adults did at that time that was doing hood stuff was like, look, listen to these little niggas, like, you hear this nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they getting pumped up to be, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to think, even in their hood, they big homies is fond of what they doing, so they representing the entourage. So, like, that's what you getting. That's that. This was the grimy New York tunnels sticking kids up. Like, this is that type of stuff. That's what who this resonated with, shit, man. Plus, it was giving Queens a voice again during this time and shit. Because I'm trying to recall and shit. Who else besides Nas and shit that was popping out of Queens at the time? And shit? I can't remember all that Queens era shit that started coming during the 90s.
Let's spin that back. This was like the reemergence. The reemerging of Queens after the bridge is over. Remember, they had a spell where there was the only person that was out there was LL Cool J, but he's in a different bracket of, you know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. Run DMC too. Come on, Run DMC.
Run DMC, and then you got MC Shan too. But after this is after the Bridge Wars. So like you're talking about different areas.
Nas came out. Nas came out and it was like you seeing like, oh, this is a young cat representing. He kind of overdid it with that cell phone. He overdid it holding that cell phone. The whole video, like, you know, because that was new back then. But then when these dudes, when they really got on the radar was that album, which to me, that second album, it's in my top 10 of greatest hip hop albums ever. Brother Floyd X kind of forced that down my throat. Pause, because he bought the tape, he bought the CD, and he would listen to it over and over. Then I'm listening to it. I felt like I was in freaking New York, son. You know what I'm saying? I felt I'm out there. Yo, Trife Life. They had nothing from track 1 to the end of the damn album, besides that one song with Q-Tip, then kind of the party time one. But the whole album was just a straight classic. Everything was tight.
So you give it a classic as far as an album.
Yes.
That's a classic.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, that album you probably have to put it up there with the classics and shit. Top 10 might be creeping into an argument, but I ain't gonna argue with you about it. But it's definitely
Mr. Nice Guy, would you say it's a classic?
It's probably not going to be in the top 10, but I think it's a classic because there's classics on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not about like every whatever, but I'm just saying that the stuff is just solid all over. But when you talk about survival of the fittest, I don't know if you want to do the track by track. You want to talk about, you know, Shook Ones Part 2. You want to talk about Eye for an Eye. I mean, there's some other songs on there that is just like, you know what I'm saying? So to me, it deserves that discussion. I mean, you know, to me, Shook Ones is one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That beat too.
Voted as the greatest
Survival of the Fittest ain't no joke either, though.
It ain't.
Man, when I heard that, I was like, yo, that's what made me buy the album, actually.
Yeah.
So if we're on that point, then we have to talk about Havoc as a producer, and do we consider him a legendary producer?
Oh, yes. Come on.
And that was never even broadcasted. He never put it out there like that I produced all this stuff. Like, I didn't find that out till like in the 2010s, and he left, is that he produced that whole album. That's like crazy for back then right there. And he was like, that's why it sounds so grimy. That album, it sounds grimy.
Right.
J-Walk, you letting us know you didn't read the credits on the albums.
He's letting you know that
he read the shout outs to that shit. He didn't read the credits and shit.
Yeah, they don't have credits on the bootleg.
Right. Hey, wait a minute, boy, no lie. You're right. You remember that? You would go to straight who they shouting out.
Try to see who their friends are. You wanted to see who because that meant something back in the day. Oh, they shouted you out on the back of the album, homie. Like, let me tell you, on Fear of a Black Planet and shit, they shouted out Movement X on there, homie. I walked around with that album like, you see this right here? My group, guy.
Hey, wait. Hey, boy, no lie. Hey, respect for shouting Do Rock out on your album. I've seen that.
You know, so as you can see, that meant something in our times. Shout-outs, like, you know, the credits on who did what, you know, nobody really, you know, remember we went to the shout-outs, they wanted to see who their friends, and then if it was a friend of yours, you wanted to see what they shout you out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it was more like, maybe like El Pooh was a producer, so man, if you're a producer, you check like, oh, who did this? Oh, Pete Rock did that. Well, you know what I'm saying? People like that did that. But let me read off these titles from that album, and you might get chills. I got chills reading it. Start of Your Ending, The Infamous Preludes, Survival of the Fifth, Eye for an Eye. Oh my God. Give Up the Goods, Temperature Rising. Oh, that was my joint.
Wait, what about Just Step? Just Step? You forgot that one.
Trife Life, Right Back at You, Cradle to the Grave. That was where they got into it with Tupac a little bit too. Remember? Because remember Cradle to the Grave? Tupac had a song like that. Shook Ones, Party Over, Shook Ones again, The Money, Lifestyle. Damn, they got like Shook Ones Part 2. But yeah, but that was something that where that, you know, me reading this stuff is bringing me back to that era. Where Floyd X was playing that shit over, and I'll be like, yeah, this shit is kind of tight. But at first, it's like, come on, my nigga, play some West Coast shit. But yeah, salute to the.
And you bring up a great point about the producer aspect of it, because like you said, El Pooh is the producer, we was the rappers, so we weren't so much checking about who was producing whatever stuff like that. Right. But I'm just telling you, when I seen the video, they have these breakdown videos of how they put together samples and stuff like that. And they had a person dissect the creation of Shook Ones. And I already had immense respect for that song. This was already, to me, one of the arguably greatest hip-hop tracks of all time. But once I saw the breakdown and all this other stuff, because I just didn't have a concept of what was going on until I saw that. And it made me respect that way more. I can't say enough about it.
Okay, let me tell you about this. It's a whole story behind this. Somewhere back around 2010, around up in that time, 2009, 2008, somewhere around up in there, somebody figured out there was a Herbie Hancock sample, and they put it up on the internet. And they showed how you slowed it down and everything and how you actually made it. And then the other part is Quincy Jones, a little piece of Quincy Jones, that little noise part. That's from a Quincy Jones, from a movie, but it's Quincy Jones, basically. So somebody stumbled on that and came up with that because nobody knew what that sample was. I thought it was some chopped up shit.
Right.
I thought it was played. I thought it was played. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it was like a one piece, and then the second part. I thought
do a whole show about sample snitching, because when people used to reveal that stuff, like, there was a lot of producers that was mad about that. So we got to do a whole segment of that sample snitching. That was a big thing at one time. You know, we snitching on my samples, motherfucker. Now I got publishers breathing down my neck and shit.
That's the danger of it.
Exactly.
That's the danger of it. Yeah,
Exactly.
Stuff.
Hey, one more thing. We got to spin this back. One more group that was out there from Queens back in them days. Tribe Called Quest. Did we say that?
Yeah, I thought I've had a mental note. I was going to inject that as well. But I told you this was the era, like all that stuff was coming out during this time. This was when Queens started running shit. You know what I'm saying? You had all these different groups. You had Mobb Deep, you had Nas, you had Tribe Called Quest. Huh?
You can't forget Intelligent Hoodlum. I forgot what he changed his name to.
Well, you know, he's associated. That's Gaddafi.
Tragedy.
Tragedy.
Tragedy. Because he's the one that really laid down that.
Those are all project dudes and shit. Shout out Gaddafi and shit too and shit. That's my mans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure.
So yeah. So the album, I think it was a banger. I think it's a classic. It's not on the same level as Illmatic, because that was like a classic all the way through. You can listen to every song and not skip anything. On here,
you did that with Mobb Deep as well. Like sometimes the moment is always the thing. Like I don't never remember skipping those songs on Mobb Deep. Like now it's probably ones that I would skip because I know the album so well. I listen to it all the way through so much that I know which ones to skip for the vibe and shit. So I still think Mobb Deep was a no skipper at the moment. Listening to it in hindsight, it might be some stuff that I don't want to listen to because I want to get to other songs that I know that's down the line and stuff. But we got to give this album the respect that it deserves, man, because I was smoking brick weed and drinking cheap liquor during this era and shit, man. And I know the mood that it was and playing Madden and shit and writing raps and just, I remember what this was, man, like just the moment. So I got to give it the respect and shit because me personally, I love the group. I love what they did, and they have classic songs. When you start talking about lyricism, I probably do not revere Prodigy as much as other people as a lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the songs, everything. I love the mood. But when we start talking about what an MC is and stuff like that, he isn't. You know, he rap dope, but he's not in my upper echelon of artists like that. You know, to me,
totally agree.
It'd be the mood and the image and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, he wasn't really a complex rhyme sayer, but what he said resonated. He had that Tupac effect, where it was like the content of what he was saying resonated with you. You know what I'm saying? When you combined it with the sonics that's going on, the mood and the presence. Like a lot of times, people don't understand that there are great people that are able to do that are not dope ass rappers. And I think, you know, the epitome of that is Tupac. To me, as a lyricist, he wasn't super dope, but what he said resonated with you so much. It wasn't even how he said it. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, sometimes Tupac was very elementary in how he said things, but that was his beauty. And I think that's the case with Prodigy. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't a case. Everything is appropriate. He's appropriately placed in the pocket of the beat. The mood and the sonics of the music and shit appropriately goes with how he's articulating himself. Everything is set up properly. You know what I'm saying? Compared to something that's dope no matter where they're at.
But that's the beauty. That's the beauty too. You don't have to be a Tech Nine or a Kendrick Lamar or, you know what I'm saying, flipping it and doing all that stuff. He was perfect for that group. And but I remember back then where me and Floyd X, we was in New Orleans, and they was like they used to run a show out there, and it would show the rappers. They was filming the video, Shook Ones, and when they had the little hotel cups with the Hennessy, they was showing everything they was doing. And I was just like, wait, they 20, they my age. Yo, they some New York cats, and was really feeling them. Then the music was tight. It really was a great representation of New York. It really was. Like that's why I said earlier, like it made son, wait, hold on, Pooh, spin that back, son. They made me feel like that. I'm an LA nigga, like kid.
Made you want to go to New York, right?
Yeah, facts. And then I had a cousin from New York who used to talk that grimy shit. What's up, Rod?
Yeah. Hey, yo, check this out.
I think I got a higher opinion of him as a lyricist because, you know, you also got to think about this. I think about you can say something simple and straightforward, But a lot of thing about being a lyricist is finding a clever way of saying it, the way that you're expressing it and stuff like that. I'm not talking about just cadence. That's like executing it. But I'm just saying that I do think that he was a person that really chose very brilliant ways to present basic information. So I'm just saying that, I'm not calling him Rakim or Nas or anything like that. But I mean, to me, he was definitely on the higher spectrum of lyricists in my perception.
Is he in your top dub of MCs?
What'd you say?
Is he in your top dub of MCs? Your top dub, your top 20?
Well, see, that's the thing about it. If you say top wait. You said wait. No, because that's what I'm saying. If you talk about top MCs, I mean, to me, I would be thinking about more than just being a lyricist. I would say that your presentation and all this other stuff. Like, for example,
let me reframe the question then. You put him in your top 20 of lyricists then.
Thank you. That's what you need to say. That's what you need to say.
I said it now.
Now I would say that I have to flesh it out. I don't know. Maybe
my point is I don't want to take nothing away from his legend. I just
you see what I go through. You see what I go through with Nice Guy.
Hey,
Yes or no?
Wait. But did you have to adjust it?
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me say one thing. Let me spin it back one time. And let's do this. Let's say, first of all, rest in peace to the brother. We talking about him like he's still here. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to the brother. Prodigy. He's not here any longer. And one thing I can say about the brother is this: he was a good storyteller. Did you read his book?
No, I already definitely. I already read on the book, but I never. You caught me with that one. I have it, and I know more of the controversy than I know the book. Like, I know so much behind the controversy in the book that I should read the book.
I'll tell you like this: if you read that book, you would think they were superheroes. They never lost a fight at all,
right,
man? And they beat mad niggas' asses.
Which was none of the stories that I was hearing. Which was none of the stories that I was hearing.
That's what I'm telling you.
Videos that I've seen on stage.
Prodigy said, Prodigy, he said when they were getting ready to go to the club, they said they could bring anything in the club but a gun. So they'd be grabbing all kind of like hammers, kitchen knives. They could get that in. The security was with that, but they could not bring a pistol, and that's what they had. That's what they even had the night they got into it with Keith Murray. You remember that altercation with Keith Murray in the streets? You know what I'm saying? Where I think the police came. It was in the snow. They were supposed to go out and fight, but they didn't end up fighting. And then Mobb Deep, he was like, Prodigy was like, Keith Murray don't know he was about to die that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keith Murray's an asshole though and shit. Just for the record and shit, man. I almost put tips on him one time and shit myself. So like, he's just one of them dudes and shit that's cruising for a bruise and shit. But that's a whole nother show.
We're gonna have a show on Keith Murray one of these days too. We're gonna talk about
Kevin Stillborn tells the story where he had to almost put the tips. Yeah, okay. I want to hear that one, my brother.
Yeah, I got a few stories. I was gonna put my hands on my partner and shit. He was out of
That's the same one that they've been trying to get to perform for $20 because he's like super burnt out.
Oh yeah, man. He's been a dust headed for a long time and shit, man. Like he always has had issues and shit. Plus he got anger issues and he's a fiend. Like he got issues, man.
Them is two bad things. Anger issues and being a fiend is a problematic combination.
Absolutely. He done got caught slipping a few times. Y'all ain't seen the footage and shit when they got him outside and he nodding off like a dope fiend and shit, like in the middle of like some dirty hotel and shit. Like
yeah. With a white lady. A white lady was filming him. Yep.
He got issues and shit, man. But I hope he finds himself. But I know. Well, let's get back to Prodigy though.
And Mobb Deep, really.
And Mobb Deep, man. No, like I said, I don't take nothing away from his legend, man. Like I said, like just that era, because I know what it is. Like it resonated with me because I just knew what it was. Like I said, young, coming of age New Yorkers. It was a picture of New York lifestyle at that era. Like if you wanted to know what that was during that period of time, go listen to a Mobb Deep album and shit. That's how them young cats was on it out there at that particular time.
Well, and let me tell a quick story about Mobb Deep. Remember, there was a West Coast group called South Central Cartel that had a Prodigy and Mobb Deep. No, I mean Prodigy and Havoc and Prodigy. They ran into each other at a hotel. I think the West Coast South Central Cartel, they was filming a video. They had like Spice One was there. It was like a lot of people, and they was all in the hotel. And Mobb Deep, which Havoc and Prodigy, these dudes probably weigh like 120 pounds put together. Like, you know, and he was like, whichever Havoc or Prodigy, he had the logos on it, was like, yeah, you stole our name, son. It was coming out, and he thought they was like an executive kids or something because they looked so young. And he like, who are y'all? And he took the logos off, like what are y'all even talking about? But they got it together because I think, was it Premier? Premier was there and brought them together, but they all ended up just kicking it that one night, that one day. Because they was partying as well, you know?
Right. I forgot about my man that had that same name. He was in the group until you said it, because my man Sudan used to manage South Central Cartel and shit back in the day and shit. So you absolutely right.
Exactly. How they both, man, that's crazy, bro.
I mean, you would naturally think somebody bit my shit. Wait, how y'all Havoc and Prodigy and we Havoc
in the same group? Yeah, that's crazy, man.
That is definitely and I know they probably had no intentions of that shit. I know that shit was probably a genuine just coincidence and shit.
Right.
That's funny as a motherfucking shit, man. But again, are we still talking about Havoc Man in the upper echelon of producers? Is he one of the greatest?
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Well, if you think about Havoc as a producer, Havoc as a producer, yes, he's a great producer. He's one of the best.
Yeah.
He's I ain't gonna say on the P Rock and Premier level, but he's like he's about almost as good as.
To me, he's like a prodigy of that, though. You know what I'm saying? Like the SP12 type of era type cats. You know what I'm saying? But I was just wondering, like, where do you put Havoc at?
I didn't even know he existed as a producer until like that breakdown. I didn't. Once I found out that he was the person that created Shook Ones, that elevated him in my perception of him as a producer. I really don't know what his body of work is. What'd you say?
He ever did, man.
Quiet Storm.
Quiet Storm.
Quiet Storm. I mean, come on, now. Quiet Storm gotta be the one, bro.
That's a Whisper sample.
Excuse me.
That's a Whisper sample.
Wow. Quiet Storm.
I believe so. Ain't that a Whisper?
You know what that is? That's White Lies.
Oh yeah, that's White Lies. The Whisper sample is Godfather Part 3.
Oh, that's that one too.
I gotta listen to that.
And they got two versions of it.
Godfather Part 3.
Yeah. That one that's a Whisper sample. But I just say, like, just to say as a producer, like, I don't put him in my top 20, but he might make like 21, 22. You know what I'm saying? And then now I think about it, I think he might be in the top dub producers, man.
I love Quiet Storm.
I gotta go back. What else did he produce outside of Mobb Deep?
That was my question. I was gonna say, like, what is he?
I don't know, but he did some stuff though. I know he did something. I just don't know what.
For a few people, I know he did. Didn't he do a couple of something off a Biggie album that everybody liked?
I don't know.
The second album.
Wow, really?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Havoc producer credits.
See, that's why I'm saying I couldn't necessarily put him up there, because when I think right off the bat, I'm gonna be like, okay, Primo. I'm gonna talk about Mantronics. I'm gonna talk about the Bomb Squad. You know what I'm saying? There's certain people that they did so much stuff that they're gonna be in front of whatever. But I'm just telling you, to me, I actually do like Shook Ones the track better than Quiet Storm. I love Quiet Storm, but I just feel like the track, I like everything about Shook Ones I like better than Quiet Storm. I love Quiet Storm though.
Really?
With Little Kim
remix. Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. I mean, he got the one that song's within our era.
Is still
we talking about 79, 1999.
Like, Little Kim killed it.
But you got that one song outside of that one that was dope, where he used the Thomas Dolby, blinding me with science.
Man, I didn't really dig that. I don't think he did that. I think whatchamacallit.
No, I'm just talking about Mobb Deep. I'm just saying that you didn't like that. I thought it was a dope song.
I didn't like the sample. I'm like, that's weak. That was just
okay. So he produced Y and shit for Jadakiss.
Oh, that's a dope.
Remember
one.
that song "Why" with Anthony?
Yes,
Anthony Hamilton?
yes,
that's dope.
yes. That was dope.
Hold
Really?
on. Like,
Wow.
oh,
Wow.
he produced "Famous" on Life of Pablo and shit for Kanye West.
Wow.
Word.
Yeah, I'm looking at his production credit right now, going through it and shit, man.
Wow.
He got some
Hey,
joints.
he's dope. He dope as hell. He dope.
Yeah, like come
He's
on,
not-
man.
he's just not
I
out
knew he
there.
did stuff, man. Mobb Deep.
Yeah, you were just talking about resume. For him to fall into a certain period, a spot.
He did Illegal Life. He did Illegal Life on Capone and Noriega, which featuring tragedy and shit. Got a few joints, man. Like outside of them and stuff. So like we may not put him in the top 20, maybe, but 21. He looked like he got some real, got some real credit.
He's got some classics that he put together. I mean, if he produced, even if he produced a Survival of the Fittest, which I'm assuming he did, but I don't know. I mean,
oh my God, he produced Shaquille O'Neal, Can't Stop the Rain.
Whoa. Whoa. I'm learning on the Spin That Back show. Spin that back.
No, that Godfather Part 3, I think that's somebody else, brother. Now that I'm listening to it.
Did he produce it?
Oh, yeah, he produced it. I'm just saying, but that sample, I think that sample is somebody else.
Okay. It's one joint that he did that he produced, because I'm a big Whispers fan and shit, man, that he used and shit. I remember it, I thought it was one of the big songs and shit, man, but I did that off my head and shit. My breakfast is kicking in.
Oh, don't trip. But I'm just listening to the track. I'm like, oh no, that's not the Whispers right there.
So now we on to the third album.
That's
the third album, which is it should be goddamn, I just had it up here too.
Something in Hell or something like that.
Hell on Earth.
Murder Music. Is it Murder Music?
No, Murder Music is after. That's like that's the fourth one. There's a third one that's within our whatchamacallit. Let me see. Mobb Deep album.
Oh, Hell on Earth.
It's Hell on Earth. Yeah, that's the third
Hell on
one.
Earth. That's 96. That's 96. Okay. That came out, I think, right after Tupac died, because I remember I bought that CD thinking I thought they was gonna be dissing Tupac on them, but
didn't they have a Drop a Gem on there? Oh no, they didn't. They took it off, right?
Yeah. They had some cool tracks, but that first one was that one that was a hit on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
With the G-O-D, Godfather, that shit was hard as F, straight up, for real.
Yeah, with that Bonita Applebum drum line.
Oh yeah, the Bonita Applebum drum. Very obvious.
Some of the beefs that they had, man, because they was in the heat of it with Tupac, Jay-Z. Like, there's a lot of different beefs and songs that I think went along with their stuff, man. That really is part of their legend and shit, because they never back down. Because let me ask you this: the New York shit.
Yeah, they did LA.
They did LA, right? Was that
that
was Noriega? Yeah.
Noriega.
I think it was
They
Noriega.
They was not whatchamacallit. They was on that. They was definitely on that. Hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and say what you say. I'm about to fact check.
Yeah, but I was gonna say who produced it, because I know they were in the heat of that stuff when that was going on. Then you had the Tupac thing, and I don't even recall how that beef started and shit with them and Tupac. Like, and
that song.
But it started from, remember the box where they would interview, and Tupac thought that they was talking about thug life when they was like,
Cradle to the Grave
shit, how high you get high, thuggish, ruckish, and they was saying a lot of shit, and Tupac thought they was referring that.
No, that's why Keith Murray got mad at him, because they were saying that.
Tupac got mad too. Same shit. They was talking about the thugs, that the thuggish and all that stuff. They was really like, oh, wait a minute, Yeah.
So LA is Capone and Noriega and Mobb Deep.
Right. Okay. I knew they was involved.
Mobb Deep was definitely on there.
Yeah, they were involved in some prominent beefs. They was involved.
I think they was featured though, because was that on Hell on Earth album?
No, it was a Capone and Noriega song.
Okay, yeah, they was featured. They was featured on their song.
They
were involved in the beef and shit. They was definitely involved in shit. So, and I just say that their beefs go a lot with the legend, especially with Prodigy and shit, because I know him and Jay-Z. They shit go all the way back. And you know what? Look up. And I wanted to be able to post the picture and shit, but I found it and shit for you. I was been trying to paste it in the thing, but if you look up Mobb Deep Summer Jam picture, they'll have the picture that Jay-Z
Ballerina? Ballerina?
Oh man,
with the high top. And I think he had on the Michael
Twinkle
Jackson
Toes?
jacket.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Twinkle
you found it? I
Toes,
couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Hey, put
You
it
did?
in.
I just looked it up. Hold on.
Hey, send that link in private chat.
All right, let's see.
You said
Jay-Z
Mobb Deep
did
Summer
put
Jam.
That Summer Jam. Yeah, all it is Mobb Deep Summer Jam pick.
And guess what else Jay-Z did? Brought Michael Jackson out on stage too. Y'all saw that video? That's great.
Yes.
He put him up on him as a ballerina, freestyle to rap about his ass, then play one of the songs. This is around the takeover. Then I got somebody else backstage. That's all on YouTube right now. I seen the video for the first time this year where he brought Michael Jackson out on stage. That's like what else? Who won the battle? That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all know where that picture came from, right?
From his mom's studio, like he used
Grandma's.
grandma's
Ashanti. Because Ashanti used to go to that studio too, right?
Oh wow, is that how you got the picture from Ashanti?
That's how you got the picture.
Damn.
Oh, that's dirty.
I think Ashanti's mom used to teach at the little school and everything. Whatever.
Like,
6 degrees of separation, my dude.
Ashanti was the one. Let me spin that back. And that's fact. Like I said, I read the book.
Wow.
That's funny as a motherfucker. Shit. I didn't even realize that factor and shit, man. You spit that back and shit. I didn't hear it and shit.
Wow.
There we go.
Spin it back one more time.
She's like, you talking about Albert? Is that Albert? Put that out there.
Some of
That's
that.
funny as a mother. That's funny as a mother. But yeah, just their involvement in the battles and the conflicts that they had leads to a lot of Prodigy's legend as well, because he never backed down to nobody and shit, man. He was taking everybody's rap fade and shit, So I you got to take hats off for that and shit, man. Because I never particularly, everybody always say, but can anybody particularly pull any lines that he was talking about, Jay-Z or anybody and shit? Because I can never think of like the rap. What rap was he saying when he was getting back at him and shit? I know he was involved in stuff.
Yeah, I don't recall specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, so we consider all
But
that.
they did catch Jay-Z one time when Jay-Z was at his house at his height in a club where Mobb Deep was thick as hell, and they seen Jay-Z, and they was going to get him, but Jay-Z, he did it real politically. He approached them like, "What's up?" and spoke to Prodigy and dapped him up and whatever the fuck he said. That's in the book. That's in the book as well. That's in the book.
That's a chess move, man. It's chess, not checkers and shit. You know what I'm saying?
You're fucking right. Especially if you surrounded a bunch of Queens niggas that y'all been beefing for years. Now we see you and we thinking you ain't. He was with like and you know what I'm saying, probably a mill or some shit.
Right.
But he did it real politically. Good move, Jay-Z. Good move.
Yes, sir. Let's get that back. And check this out. They had one more album called Murder Music in like 99, something like that.
And that's the one that had Quiet Storm on it, I believe.
Which was a mega hit, like a super mega hit, man. Like that was
Quiet Storm is on there too. Yeah. So yeah.
Lil Kim murders that shit, man. I wonder who wrote Lil Kim's rhyme for that.
Yeah. Biggie was gone by this point in time.
Yeah, Biggie was gone.
Lil Kim. Hey, you know what? Foxy wrote it. That's what. Send that back. Hey, the reason why I want to get through this, I want to get through this because we want to get to next little section that we got on here.
Oh yeah, we got a segment to take care of.
We got it called 5 Minutes of Funk, and this is something Mr. Walk had introduced to the show or suggested. So, Mr. Walk, tell us about 5 Minutes of Funk this week.
5 minutes of funk. For 5 minutes, we just gonna go back about certain issues in hip hop. This is a coined phrase that who said M murdered? Nas said it. M murdered you on your whole own shit, which he said about Jay-Z with that song Renegade that came out in 2002. the Blueprint album, which is, to me, that's like 5 mics right there. That's a hell of an album, tight as fuck. But Eminem is on there, the double album, and it's a lyrical sparring session. Where what I say now, but since Nas said that, he said he got killed. I totally disagree. If you go bar for bar in which song, who had the better lyrics, I gotta go with Jay-Z, bro. I gotta go with Jay-Z.
Born Out Loud, you get first. Well, you know what? Let's go to El Poo first, and then we're gonna come back to you. El Poo,
right.
what's your take
I'm going this far now where I'm actually pulling the lyrics and shit, like, because I'm trying to figure out.
I want to do that too.
You go ahead, but I'm trying to get right.
That's wrong. You know what? So I would want to do the same thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Listen, style wise and everything, M just outflexed him. I'm gonna just say it like that. That's what number one is. M got lyrics. He has style. He has showmanship. It was just the whole total package. Jay, on the other hand, on this song, he was just so laid back and just in the pocket. He just stayed in that one pocket, basically. And it was just laid back, no energy. That's what it was. It was just the performance of it. You know what I'm saying? And M just brought that flair, even when he went to the hook. Because I'm a motherfucking renegade, you know what I'm saying? He just had it going. He made the song. That's my opinion.
He got that flow. Eminem flows on every song with it's just like he's riding the flow. It's ludicrous, like,
but he's hitting, exactly. He's hitting those whatever. But I wanted to give Born Alive, some time to go over these lyrics, because I'm gonna tell you right now. So I went back and listened to it last night, knowing that we were gonna have this thing, and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, Jay-Z did a whole lot better than I thought he did, from because I've always heard this, and they just I kind of dismissed it like, yeah, M handled him. So I went back and listened to it. I'm thinking like, he's not just staying where he's always been. He's taking some risks. He's going some places. He sees that Eminem's on this, so I need to do some stuff on it. I said, but you know what? Just as far as the pattern and energy and all this other stuff, I still think that he overworked him. I don't know if I'm gonna say he was a better as the lyrics, because a lot of stuff that Eminem doing is really about the conveyance of it. Because this thing is rhyming, this thing is rhyming, this thing's rhyming. It's not necessarily very sophisticated, but it's very sophisticated how it's come together, at least as far as the rhyming patterns and stuff like that. So I mean, I definitely think he flexed him on just presentation, but but you can definitely make an argument that Jay-Z did what he did on lyrics, because he's saying stuff that tends to relate to us. Eminem tends to say stuff that relates to white people and stuff like that. I mean, that's to me, that's a legitimate knock on him.
Right.
I had to hustle back against the wall, ashy knuckles. That's Jay-Z. That's what. Go ahead.
To me, I think a lot of people really they go off of completely the style, because them kind of chopped and played and rode the beat and stuff like that. So and Jay-Z has a complete capability of doing that and shit. But to me, like you said, it's all presentation and the content. And then keep in mind, M produced the beat. And I think that's the edge.
That's why he had the chorus. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking,
hold on, spin that back. Wait a minute. See, that's what I'm saying. Y'all don't read
all this time.
I don't know why y'all didn't know that he produced that goddamn beat.
You didn't think that? I'm like,
that was like one of the first beats that we knew that M produced.
The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, why is Eminem dominating his chorus? I was like, why is he dominating the chorus on this dude's song? I was like, that's what
we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. Spin that back show. We just want to teach y'all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought everybody knew that. I can't mention that argument and shit, man, knowing that. So I know that was probably all way to edge, because I know how albums are produced. So I know, like, it's probably like, you go to him to get a beat and he probably had something, or you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, oh shit,
Eminem.
I put it to you this way. You'll listen to it and shit, and the hook will already be in there and be like, oh shit, let's do this shit. So M already had it, and it was really his song. Although it's on Jay-Z's album produced by him, but it's really an Eminem song that got Jay-Z on.
It really is. It's really, I mean, that's
I think a lot of people don't get that concept, because it's on Jay-Z's album. So it's like, it killed you. He was like, I was doing my album. I went to see what he had. This what he had, and we decided to do this song. You know what I'm saying? But
Born Out Loud.
The
Born Out Loud,
landscape
hold
was set
on.
up.
Born Out Loud and let the cat out the bag. I thought everybody knew that M had produced that beat. I'm sorry.
The
To me,
whole
that's like common
argument is
knowledge.
that you got wrecked on your own song. I think
I
the
know.
reality
that was
is it was his song.
That's
You
why
It was his song.
it was really an unfair statement for anybody to really take that
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
literally.
game changer for me. That's a game
Yes.
changer. The
Yeah,
whole
you
time
know
I'm
what I'm
listening to him, I'm saying the way that he's doing this chorus, there's no way that he set the template on what this thing is as a guest. That was like that didn't resonate with me. And once you said that, I was like, okay, now we got a piece of the puzzle that we didn't have.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
happened.
This is doing too much in the chorus.
22 years later, this my first time hearing that Eminem produced the beat.
Yes.
I gotta reevaluate the whole not battle, but
Yeah.
the whole
If I
song.
had-
It's
if I had
That was a low
God
that was a
damn.
low blow for Nas because he didn't want people to wouldn't even have this knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right.
that was Eminem's
it's a
song.
low blow if he had the knowledge. If he
Right.
didn't know, because a lot of people been talking about this. A
If
lot
this-
of people talking about you got murdered on your own song
Oh,
because it was
shit,
on his
yeah.
album.
People-
They just
a
didn't
lot
have
of
this
times
other-
people
Let's go
don't
back and
care,
say this though. This says this though. This is the reason why M did smoke him, not on his own song, but he smoked him on that song. Jay couldn't keep up. That's why he could. Actually, he could. He could, but he didn't. He
Originator.
didn't on this song.
No,
he didn't.
he
He
rapped
didn't
on
on
this
this
song.
song.
He's like, yo, this is a dope song. I'm gonna put a verse on it and shit. And that's what you have. Like, I think people looking at it as like a pair, like, oh, he wouldn't got a feature for M and it served him. It was like, no, I'm producing my album. I went to you, see what you had. You probably had this beat. You probably had the hook in it already. You possibly even could add the verse. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came in like,
definitely-
oh, let me insert myself in
Born
this
Alive.
landscape, put it on my album.
He definitely had the verse there because I think that Jay-Z's verse is influenced by the style that Eminem is doing.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that's what happens when someone's done something like that. Like, oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna, do this type of thing where we're just gonna have this similarity. So I'm just saying
Right.
it, and that's why I felt like because he went there, you see where it's like he went there, but he didn't go all the way.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
so
So I
And
hope that
we
makes
do
the
know
landscape.
we know Jay-Z could have he the tongue twisted style and
oh yeah,
everything,
he
you
could have
know,
done all
he
that,
coulda-
the
yeah.
originators type
Like-
stuff. He
Yeah.
could have done all
So-
that stuff. So
Yeah, he has where he
Jigga
has
what?
that.
Jigga who? Jigga what?
I hate that
So
song.
Like
Yeah,
I
that's
said, you know he could,
Yeah, I
but he
hated
didn't.
that song,
He-
man.
Like I said, he stayed in the pocket and he didn't come out and try to compete with M on his. I don't know. That's
I definitely
not as lopsided as what people bring it off to be to me and shit. It's not half as lopsided as what it's how people present it to be. It's like, you know what I'm saying? He did a little bit more on his verse, you know what I'm saying?
Even
But to me,
Jay-Z
that's why
said-
it's at the end. Huh?
even Jay-Z said, he goes, look, after 1,000 songs, it's 1 in 1,000 is whatever. I mean, he kind of conceded that, that he didn't win that song. So
Right.
I mean, but I'm just saying
Wait,
that,
but he took it as a compliment as well. When he was being interviewed, he said like, "What is M not supposed to come with his best? Like
Right.
it was a great song." We here
Right.
talking about this. This is 22 years later. Wow, but
Mhm.
I got some new information with M producer. I never looked. I never seen it. I see it now.
Credits, Walt.
I used to rap. Yo, who did they shout out? Oh shit, Busta Rhymes. No,
and a lot as
LL
a
Cool J,
DJ, I
Ice-T.
got a whole bunch of promotional stuff. They didn't necessarily have all the information on a lot of stuff. I was getting a
Really?
lot of my music from Brick Walls, so I didn't have your little piece of paper and stuff like that. And I wasn't reading rap pages and the source and all this other stuff. So
I just thought that was
was
common
missing out on a lot
information.
of that
shit,
stuff.
though,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't know
Because
that.
during that time, because I'm trying to remember what else he had produced and shit, man. Because M have a couple of prominent songs under his producer credit, man. Like he went through a tear where he was producing for a hot second and shit, man. So
Wow.
and this is that era. Like, when did this come out?
2002.
Well, 22 years ago.
Yeah, so
22 years ago.
So during
So-
that period, because I'm
2001.
trying to remember what else he produced and shit, man.
produced a
that
lot
was
of his own
close.
stuff.
2001. 2001.
23
And I
years
know he
ago.
produced some shit for like Tupac and Biggie song when they brought their verses together and shit like that for
Oh.
some
Yeah.
Tupac album. that
Running
they
from
did.
the police.
Yeah, I think he produced that shit. It's a few joints off my head I can't think of and shit, and I ain't gonna go through the thing. But Eminem has a lot of producer credit, decent producer credits, and he was a decent producer, man. A lot of times that goes under the radar and shit that he is a decent beat maker and shit.
The reality is, a lot of people, you're a rapper, or whatever, you don't necessarily got the means, or if someone's not supplying you with stuff, you're gonna put your own stuff together. So it's just like how you talk about, you have a group where he's the DJ, but he may not necessarily be the one in the studio putting it down because like Rakim, he's like, that's me scratching a lot of times, right? Because that's just how it is. I remember doing whole songs bragging about brick walls cutting and scratching. I'm the one doing all the scratching and stuff like that. But hey, resounding success, resounding success for this segment, Mr. Walk. So we
right.
Yes, sir.
5 minutes of fun.
Back to Mobb Deep. Spin that back.
Hold on. I was trying to do something right here. My bad. Get back to spin that back.
There you go.
Sir. But anyway, in fact, good show, everybody. Thanks for everybody for coming in this time once again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate y'all putting the call in,
R.I.P. Prodigy. Rest in peace,
R.I.P. Prodigy.
And shout out to the music that Born Alive's got out and the music that's forthcoming. So,
absolutely. Go check out Bully Bars. Go stream that right now. Bully Bars, Born Alive.
Yes, sir.
Fuck your favorite rapper. Part 1 and 2.
We ain't gonna be in here next weekend, and the weekend after that, we probably ain't gonna be in too. So we might have to take a couple of weekends off just to let y'all know. So we will be back next month for the Spin That Back show, though. Okay. All right. So we gonna be out of here.